So if you've been following the NBA offseason as of late, you probably would have realized by now that nothing major has happened yet. You're waiting for the Kevin Durant trade. You're waiting for the Kyrie Irving trade. And then really nothing has happened since the Rudy Gobert deal that happened about, a week ago, you would say, I guess? But you're probably wondering, when is it going to happen? When are all the major moves going to go down? But here's the thing. The Rudy Gobert trade, Danny Ainge, who is an executive of the Utah Jazz organization right now, might have just ruined the whole NBA trade market and has slowed down, probably a big reason why the free agent process has slowed down big time. And that's because when he traded Rudy Gobert, obviously when we saw the deal, we were like, wow, they got a huge, massive haul of future first round picks, 5 to be exact, and some solid young pieces for Gobert. And we were complimenting Utah. That's a win. And from a Minnesota standpoint, they had to do what they had to do. They wanted Gobert badly, and they gave it all up for him. I'm not going to criticize them a lot because that's what they wanted. They want to contend now. But as a result of this, there's a bigger situation going on that, happened about 2 days before Gobert got traded. And that was Kevin Durant asking out. And that whole process has kind of slowed down. And that's because of the Rudy Gobert deal. Literally, the Gobert deal has made a big trickle-down effect throughout the entire league. So let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Because the Brooklyn Nets saw what Utah got for a 30-year-old Rudy Gobert, who, to be honest, let's be real, I gave him his praises when I reacted to the trade, but he isn't a top 20 player in the league. And he was worth 5 picks. And young players. Patrick Beverley's not a young player, but he was in the deal. But besides that, young players, right? And now Brooklyn has massive leverage because of that deal to raise the asking price for both KD and Kyrie, but more specifically KD. And the rest of the NBA is just waiting to see what happens. Because let's be honest, let's keep it real. If the Jazz got that in return for Rudy, then the Nets are about to get possibly the largest amount of assets in a trade in NBA history for Kevin Durant, who is one of the top 3 players in the NBA easily, and is one of the only few players that can make your team go from playoff contender to championship contender in a matter of one season. And to add on to that fact, he still has about 4 more years on his contract back from the extension he signed with Brooklyn last offseason. But here's what also is holding everything up. That is, the Brooklyn Nets are playing extreme hardball right now. And they're asking for way too much. They're just plain asking for way too much in a KD deal. The Nets have reportedly asked for Devin Booker in a Phoenix Suns trade, which ain't happening because why would the Suns want to trade away Devin Booker for KD to pair him with CP3 when the whole idea is to add KD with those two guys? You're not just going to trade away your franchise player for a guy that, he's great, but he's 33, about to be 34, and you just wouldn't have a lot of time to win. Then you got the Raptors rumors that have been going around recently, really have been picking up steam as of late, and the Nets want Scottie Barnes, which in my opinion makes sense for Brooklyn because I completely understand why you would want another team's young star in exchange for a Hall of Fame player like Durant. But in Toronto's case, let's be real. Trading Barnes and picks and other players to add KD onto this current Raptors team does not make them a favorite to win the title. I would still pick Miami over them. I would still pick Boston over them. I'd still pick Milwaukee over them. And I'd even consider taking Philly over them because Toronto will lose a lot of depth by trading KD. So by Brooklyn doing all of this now has a huge effect on other teams' off seasons because you got these separate groups going on. You got the teams that want KD. Then you have the other teams that are waiting to make roster changes based off of what happens because let's say Kevin Durant goes to the Western Conference. You're going to have teams in the Eastern Conference that feel like there's a better chance of contending now. And then you're going to have the teams in the Western Conference that are going to try to add on to try to compete with, the upper echelon of the West. So you got those two groups. And then lastly, you got the teams that this doesn't really affect because, they're in the lottery group or they're just trying to build. You got that group. But then you also got the free agents. The free agents have to decide where they want to go. And if you're a player that wants to win a ring, do you want to go to the Western Conference if KD goes to Phoenix and you have to deal with facing the Suns and the Warriors and all these healthy teams coming back, when you could just go to the Eastern Conference and try to compete over there. So there's a lot of ways you can look at this whole thing. But right now, this whole thing is happening because of Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, along with the Minnesota Timberwolves, of course, for making this whole offseason basically go on a little hiatus. Now, how long will we be waiting? We don't know. Will there be any teams or free agents that just say, forget this whole thing and we'll move on, and we'll also see. We'll see with that whole situation. But right now, the NBA could have a problem. Right now, it's a little problem. But this could turn into a big problem because let's think about this. Rudy Gobert went for that much. Kevin Durant is about to be a big, massive trade now because of Rudy Gobert. But what happens when, for example, Donovan Mitchell wants out? Now, am I saying Donovan Mitchell is like on KD's level? No. But once again, if Donovan Mitchell asks out, he's a younger star. He's going to cost a lot. He's going to go for more than Gobert. When in reality, he's not worth, more than 5 first-round picks, in my opinion. He's a great player, but that's just an example right there. I don't think he's worth more than 5 first-round picks. So right now, this whole situation can be a massive problem because you're going to have these teams that are going to have to overpay assets to try to get stars now if this continues to happen. And you can pretty much thank Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz for why this happened. Because they went out there and they finessed Minnesota for 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And now we got the whole Kevin Durant situation going on. KD about to get the massive assets. The Nets are about to get massive assets for KD. Something we've never seen before. I mean, we might be talking about players, maybe 6+ first-round picks. We're going to see something crazy. That's what I believe. Now, do we know where Durant will be going? I don't know. Because of the fact that this happened, I don't know. Because I was saying Phoenix because it makes logical sense, and right now they're still the favorites. But now you got teams that can do it. You can try. I mean, I heard people mention New Orleans and giving up Brandon Ingram, which I wouldn't really do. I'd want to keep the young core together, but I've heard that. Toronto's another team, but like I mentioned in the video earlier, don't really see it working out with KD in Toronto like that. I don't see them as a title contending team. It wouldn't be like when Kawhi got traded over there. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't have that same feel. The team doesn't have as much veterans anymore. So they wouldn't even be like a title contending team. They would just be like a top 5, top 6 team in the East. They'd compete for a decent level, but not for a championship. So there's a lot of ways these things could go right now. And the NBA is basically on pause. The whole offseason's on pause. We're just watching Summer League, and that's it. Because we're waiting to see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant and what's going to happen for the future of guys who ask out. Because it can really turn into a problem if this whole situation continues to basically just rumble over and keep going on and on for every offseason now as one massive trickle-down effect. So we'll see what happens. Going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a week. Who knows? Maybe a few days. We don't know when the trade will happen. But when it does, it's going to send shockwaves through the NBA community. And that's a fact. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Link will be down in the description below. This has been the Checkup where we talk hoops and hoops only. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace.